Are you grumpy? I want to suggest to you 5 hacks in order to deal with grumpiness. We can often start our day or go through our day when something has developed a black cloud over us. We can be like Eeyore, if you remember from the stories of Winnie the Pooh. He was walked around with a dark cloud over him because of something going on in his life. For some reason, something had set him off, and he was grumpy and cantankerous. I'm going to give you 5 hacks because if your life is going to be the best that it could be, you need to deal with your attitude and the grumpiness. Nobody likes being around somebody who's grumpy and complaining all the time. You don't even want to be around yourself if you're grumpy. It can be a very miserable place to be and can put a dark cloud on the day and your experiences and the opportunities that you have. And as you mature and as you get older, that grumpiness can get worse. How easy it is to allow that seed of grumpiness to start in our lives when we're younger. And then when we get to our 40s or 50s or 60s or 70s, it really blossoms out. I've seen people that are later on in their life in their 60s and their 70s, they start to have aches and pains and issues with medical problems, and the grumpiness expands to consume their life and their attitude. And that's the time of their life where they should be breaking out. They should be thankful and appreciating the life that they have, wanting to influence people and encourage those around them. So if you want to be an encourager, if you want to be somebody that's an example to your children and someday to your grandchildren, you've got to deal with that heart of grumpiness. So here's the 5 hacks that can encourage you to move off that grumpy heart and move on to a heart that is pleasant, is optimistic, and is thankful. The first hack that I suggest to you is to start your day out on the right way. I had a previous video on the idea of what to do when you start your day. It is so easy for us to wake up and the first focus in our mind is that challenge of the day, that relationship that's not going well, that issue that you're facing today, and you develop quickly a grumpy attitude even before you get out of bed. And so my encouragement to you and challenge is that even when you first wake up, that first thought you have in your mind, you've got to put away those grumpy thoughts, put away the challenges, put away the frustrations, and set your mind on something that you're thankful for, that you're appreciating in your life. I always think about that verse, whatever is good and honorable and right and pure and lovely, set your mind on those things. What a powerful truth that is for all of us to make that choice of where we're going to set our minds on, especially first thing in the morning. When you get out of the starting blocks and you're starting that day on a run, if you set your mind on things that are good and honorable, right, it will color your day. It will color your attitudes. It will help you to be able to accept the challenges of the day in a better way. The second hack that I'd suggest to you is to think about what you think about. This again gets back to that verse. I have to ask myself the question, where do I set my mind? If I set my mind on the difficulties and what's not going well and what I think is not going to go well or what hasn't gone well in the past, I will be grumpy, I will be complaining, I will be discouraged. And again, I have to decide what I'm going to set my mind on. What am I going to focus on during the day? The things that are going wrong or the things that are going right? It is so wonderful to begin to choose to set my mind on those things that I'm thankful for, to see the blessings in my life. Not to see what I don't have, but to see what I've been given. And to fix my mind on those things during the day. When those grumpy thoughts come up, when the struggle comes up, to set that aside and to will in my mind that I'm going to set my mind on something better, something lovely, something good. You'll be amazed how that dark cloud will lift from you and you will have a better disposition and be able to encourage others because of what you set your mind on. The third hack for moving off that grumpiness is to realize and understand that the challenges that you have are opportunities. I'm somebody who's not a cup is half empty, but somebody who's a cup that's half full. I look at the optimistic side of things. When I look at a challenge or some difficulty in my life, I see it as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to expand my view and to receive those difficulties because I know they're going to make me a better person if I allow them to make me a better person. If I blow away that dark cloud and I begin to think about my character and my response, that can give me a better attitude even about the things that go wrong in the day. To be able to look back at the end of the day and see those challenges and to realize that I handled them in a good way because I saw it was an opportunity to be thankful and to have a good attitude despite the things that were going on in my life, despite the events of the day. It's important if you find yourself in a grumpy state that you ask yourself the question, why am I grumpy right now? What is it that has set me off on this negative path? And to take that step back and to realize, you know what? This is a good opportunity to be cheerful, to be encouraging, to be optimistic, and to learn from that experience. Hey, I'd love it if you would share your comments below about maybe those things that have made you struggle with grumpiness, or even other ways that you've been able to overcome the grumpiness in your life. The fourth hack for overcoming grumpiness is letting those struggles go. We have to realize if we're going to be mentally and spiritually healthy that we don't have control over the events of the day. And if we are anxious and grumpy about events that happen, the way that people treat us, the struggles at work or struggles in relationships, if we fix onto those somehow thinking that by going over it over and over it's going to help anything, we're going to have that dark cloud over us the whole day. I think it's important to realize what we have control over and what we don't have control over. You recognize the things that you have control over. What can I do in the situation? What can I do to resolve this issue? You involve yourself in those activities, and then when you've done all you can, you recognize the rest I don't have control over. I don't have control over the way that other people react. I don't have control over other people's attitudes. There are challenges in my work, in relationships that I cannot fix on my own. And therefore I release those things and I don't fixate on them. And that will have a wonderful way of encouraging you and helping you to move on to it, because you're not caught in that bear trap of trying to fix it and trying to think it through and ending up having your whole day be a dark cloud and struggling. Well, the fifth hack for dealing with a grumbling attitude is to evaluate your expectation. I'm not talking about being pessimistic. What I'm suggesting to you is that when we are grumbly about something, often it's because our expectations have been too high related to the issue or the challenge that we're facing. You may be grumbly because of the way that somebody treats you, and your expectation is they're going to treat you perfectly, that they're going to be kind and encouraging. That's not reality. We have to lower our expectations and realize that the people around us are struggling, that they don't handle things in the right way, and that will allow you, if you lower the expectations, to begin to rise above the attitudes and what you have been hit with. You may have the expectation in your work life or your personal life that you're going to do things perfectly. And if they don't go perfectly, if you don't handle things perfectly, then you're grumbling and complaining and whining about things. Well, let me give you a little hint. That expectation is too high. You and I are never going to be perfect. We're never going to do everything perfectly. And if we lower our expectations on our performance, that will help us to not to be down and discouraging to ourselves, but it will allow us to have a realistic expectation and to be thankful for that which we're able to do right, that we're doing our best in the situation. Well, I've given you 5 hacks to deal with a grumbling attitude, and I would encourage you to subscribe to the channel. That will allow you to be notified when new videos are coming out. Thank you for being a part of the conversation in the comment section below. We need to make choices about our attitudes, about whether we're going to be grumbling and having difficulty and have a dark cloud over us, or we're going to move through those issues and those challenges to have our life be the best that it could be.